That's why you have generals now talking about how diversity is our greatest strength. So everything flows top down. We have to change our political representation.
Diversity is literally a strength of the military, as demonstrated by statistics, and is by demonstrated by what I said a minute ago about how by having women and other people, other diverse groups in the military, you literally benefit the military's innovation and you benefit the military's quick thinking. All things that are necessary to have a strong military. He would rather compromise the military's ability to fight more efficiently and protect our nation more efficiently because of his deep-seated hatred for minorities. Just let that sink in. Now, I'm sure you all are familiar with John Doyle. But yeah, John Doyle, for those of you who don't know, is this dude who pretty much just like LARPs about wanting to go back to when the times are good. He's got that cringy like 1950s-esque intro. And yeah, it's just stupid. Everything he does is stupid. So here's a video that he posted back in August. He hasn't really posted a lot of content recently. Should you still join the military? And I'm sure you can guess what this video is going to be about. About how the wokes have destroyed the military. So let's begin with this clip of a TikTok, and then I'm going to have to pause it because this is instantly a lie. Okay, so let's go ahead.
Understand that if active duty military actually get deployed within the United States, that weapon is not just pointed at other people, other countries. It's pointed at you. If you do not get in your house when I tell you to, you become the enemy. Martial law.
So here's the cringy, this is the cringy LARP intro, by the way.
John Doyle in. Heck off, Tommy.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Heck Off Commie. What you just saw there was a video of a female member of our military sharing with total impunity her bloodlust fantasies about gunning down American citizens. And you can dress it up any way you want to, but that's what that was. Like, that's why she posted it. She didn't want to explain martial law. She wasn't trying to give people a heads up or something. No, she was getting off on public displays of her self-perceived power over people like you. So we're going to analyze this.
So 1 minute in, and we have the scary lesbian woman apparently saying that she wants to gun down American citizens. Very spooky, and I will admit, the clip here does look kind of yikesy. But it only looks yikesy when it's out of context, which, in fairness to John Doyle, maybe he didn't know the full context. It's quite possible that he's just, like I said, really, really dumb and didn't bother to look into the full clip. Instead, he just saw that one little snip and thought, oh, this looks scary and she looks like a lesbian, so let's shit on this. Thankfully, though, some of us are not all this dishonest. And here's what the actual video was in its entirety. Let's watch the entire video and see if there's any added nuance here with the full context.
What's up, TikTok? So this happened.
This is a message for our United States military, the Air Force, the Army, the Marines, the Navy, Coast Guard, SpaceX.
SpaceX? You mean the program that was made by the guy who makes Teslas? Space Force, my guy. Moving right along.
Everybody that considers himself a person that would defend this fucking country. Where are you?
I'm at work, defending this fucking country.
We thought the military took an oath to protect this country. They took an oath to protect our Constitution. That includes enemies, foreign and domestic.
We did take that oath to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You know, domestic. Like a woman who decided to drive her vehicle through a National Guard vaccination tent. But keep that same energy.
Where are you, military? Because if you're leaving it up to the American people, you need to let us know, because everybody's on the edge of their seat. You've got millions and millions of gun owners that are ready to walk out and just start a complete fucking bloodbath. And we're beginning to wonder where our fucking military.
I mean, I'm no expert, but that sounded like a terroristic threat. Because not you talking about a bunch of gun owners going out and starting a bloodbath. Like, have you never heard of the Insurrection Act? There's reasons why the military doesn't deploy within the U.S. And if they did, your little good old boy system is not going to fare well for you. Understand that if active duty military actually get deployed within the United States, that weapon is not just pointed at other people, other countries. It's pointed at you. If you do not get in your house when I tell you to, you become the enemy. Martial law. You know, where your rights get curtailed. You don't have all those same freedoms that the Constitution guarantees at that point. So be careful what you wish for. And stop opining about things you don't understand. Okay, bye!
So perhaps that clip that John Doyle played was extremely out of context, and instead, this military woman was responding to another video of another nutcase woman who was claiming that they're ready for a fucking bloodbath if the military doesn't overthrow the government. And this woman was explaining, hey, you know what? You realize that if you realize that if the military is deployed in the sense of martial law, you are going to be seen as an enemy also. You realize that, right? You realize that that's going to be an issue for you. It's not just going to be an issue for everyone else. It's going to be an issue for you also. So, of course, John Doyle played this clip heavily out of context and was, trying to paint this as if some insane lesbian woke military lady said that if you are a gun owner, we're gonna kill you with martial law, lol. That's not true at all. She was actually saying that martial law isn't particularly great, and that if that were to happen, then this woman would also be considered an enemy. Okay? So, just to be clear, let's make sure we keep that context there that John Doyle desperately doesn't want you to see.
For a little bit before diving into what we really have to talk about, which is whether it's still a good idea to join the military. Because you look at this woman, and she truly has the phenotype of the overbearing, scorned, androgynously feminine, power-thirsty woman. You can see it in her face, you hear it in her voice, and our military is increasingly...
The phenotype? What? Yes, you can see and hear from her voice. You can recognize from her phenotype that she is full of resentment. Do we really want to talk about phenotypes, John? Really? You have a phenotype that suggests you shouldn't be within 100 yards of a school. Like, what? I like how he thinks he can just look at her face and then draw all these big conclusions somehow. You can tell she is full of resentment. You can tell from her phenotype that growing up, she didn't like the color pink and her father was not there for her. Tell me, John, you can see all this just from her eyes? Wow.
Being filled with people like that and increasingly purged of normal American patriots. And that could potentially lead to catastrophe for obvious reasons, because as our libertarian friends will remind us, the state has a total monopoly on violence, which is true. So what's going to happen when the state, which is already hostile quite openly towards people like us, what's going to happen when the enforcement of that state, the military, is predominantly occupied by people who are equally, if not even more hostile towards people like us? What's that going to look like?
So again, it's my understanding that the military is not very frequently called on American citizens unless martial law is declared, right? So is this just fear-mongering? You say the government hates you? What? You still have freedom of speech, John. You're able to say whatever the fuck you want. But if you start making terroristic threats, which is quite, which I think could be expected, coming from somebody who is, obviously harbors some rather radical ideas, then you might become a target from, like, the FBI or something. You might get put on an FBI watch list, but what do you mean? The government's going to just turn against you because of the wokes? Okay.
I'll tell you this, and we all know it's true. I've never met someone who looked like that who was not mentally and spiritually ill. People like that woman are basically amoral. They've been traumatized. They have a lot of hatred within themselves towards the people they perceive to be evil, namely white men, because of daddy issues, poor experiences with boyfriends, etc. And that's even before we take into account that these people have been spoon-fed state-sponsored propaganda against America, against American patriots, etc. for virtually their entire lives. And people like her are...
What is he even talking about right now? I don't even understand what is the point he's trying to make. So he actually unironically did the thing where he said she has daddy issues based on nothing but her phenotype, I suppose? And what do you mean she was fed state-sponsored propaganda? Is this just projection, John? Are you okay?
Are literally just waiting for the green light.
Why do you have such a nerdy voice? I don't know. Do you want to jump on Discord and then we can analyze your voice?
You can see it in her face. She knows that martial law would never be declared to serve the interests of American patriots. She knows that if it were declared, it would be to target American patriots. It would be at the expense of American patriots. And that's what she's fantasizing about.
What are you considering American patriots? Notice how that term is, like, really, really subjective. So maybe John thinks that the degeneracy in our country stems from allowing black people in the country, so he wants to get black people out of the country. He would then consider that act an act of an American patriot, because they just care about America, you see. What is an American patriot? What does this mean? Okay.
There's nothing more dangerous than bitter feminine energy in a position of power. There's nothing more dangerous than that, because it is entirely driven in...
Oh my God. So you have to remember that these types, you can tell from John Doyle's phenotype, that he is very terrified of women. Probably because he's never really been around one, and when he was, he got pepper sprayed. I don't know. But I do know that him claiming that there's nothing more scary than bitter feminine energy in a place of power. I'll be honest, John, I think there's nothing more terrifying than fascistic dumbfucks like you in a position of power, or even in a position of influence. 300k subs, 100,000 views, yikes. Massive incel energy. You see, you can tell from John's phenotype that he has mommy issues.
Governed by emotional processes that are unstable and impulsive. And if she's convinced that you're the reason that she's miserable, she'll just be looking for permission to kill you. And I know we're probably thinking right now, like, good luck.
Yeah. Yep, that's how it is, guys. You know, people in the military, they're super woke. The bitter feminine energy has subverted the once powerful, manly military. And if this woman decides that you are at fault, then she will kill you? Can we look up what into martial law a little bit? When was the last time martial law was used? So martial law was literally last declared in the 1960s, and he's over here like fear-mongering that the lesbians in the military are going to declare martial law. So we have martial law last time it was declared in the 1960s, only used 9 times since World War II. I know that John Doyle's shtick is just like lying in order to fear-monger about the woke and the women, but still, can you at least try?
Come and take it. I get that. I'm not saying that she's actually a threat or competence or anything like that. I'm just saying what worries me is how many of these types of people you're not seeing, how they can act.
So you see, my friends, he's not saying that that woman is a threat or anything, but if she decides that you are the root of her problems, she'll look for a way to kill you. How do you reconcile this blatant hypocrisy, John?
Impunity, how the rhetoric of the state and its military are approaching where they would need to be for something really bad to happen to people like us. That's the point of this. Am I scared of some bitch in fatigues? No. But what does scare me is an army of mentally ill people, because there's no way to reason with them. They need to believe what daddy government says about people like us. They need to project their own misery onto people like us. These people are the victims.
Don't you have to be like really mentally competent in order to apply for the military? Only 3 mental tests or mental health assessment tools are used to screen applicants. Educational achievement, cognitive testing, and a cursory physical evaluation. How do you know the military is full of mentally ill people, John, when they had to take a literal mental screening test in order to get into the military to begin with? Maybe you're mentally ill, John. Have you ever thought that maybe you're just the nutcase here? Also, I like how we're not even 3 minutes in, and his entire argument hinges on a slippery slope fallacy that because the woke is getting out of hand, then that's going to happen to the military, and then it'll be spooky for us American patriots. Whatever the fucking American patriot is.
No. But what does scare me is an army of mentally ill people, because there's no way to reason with them. They need to believe what daddy government says about people like us. They need to project their own misery onto people like us. These people are the victims of a society that has been purposefully engineered to breed despair and anxiety as a means to orchestrate mass submission to the established power structures by the masses, who require those power structures because they believe them to be necessary to their survival and any chance of relative stability. And the ones who are particularly miserable and brainwashed would not for a second hesitate to open fire on people like us. Not for a second. And I doubt there would be...
So you're not threatened by her. You're not scared, okay? Nothing to worry about here, guys, but the country wants everybody to be mentally ill? What? Okay, maybe I'm remembering wrong, but isn't Joe Biden literally doing stuff to try and improve mental health? President Biden announced strategy to address our national mental health crisis. Okay. So, John, could you tell me how it's the state's goal to keep everybody full of anxiety so that they submit to the institutions when literally the U.S. president is initiating different strategies to address mental health crises? What? Dude, one Google search and this guy's whole argument is just obliterated. Yeah, but he's not afraid or anything, you know? But they're just going to open fire on him. Do you often like wet your bed in fear that a woman is going to have more power than you and maybe have more guns than you, John?
Any consequences either, because the higher-ups share the same contempt, but they can't be seen pulling the trigger. The same way that Antifa and Black Lives Matter assault and murder American patriots and nothing is done about it. No arrests are made, no federal police involvement. The mainstream media runs defense for them. The Democrats in Congress run defense for them. Well, they're not actually a group, they're just an idea. Why is that? Because they're glad it's happening, but they can't be the ones to do it. So the last...
What? The reason they're labeled as not a group is because there is no central terrorist organization among Antifa. This is not complicated. And now, John, you can tell he's really gone off the rails already, because now he's trying to assign intent to these people. You see, my friends, he can tell from the FBI's phenotype that they actually support Antifa. What?
Enough. If it's happened every other time, why would it not happen this time? They're purging the military of patriots, of people who are against the regime, the same way that they've done throughout history. You want the military to be loyal to your regime and destroy those who aren't? Okay, purge it. They know what they're doing. Have you soiled yourself yet? Do you need new underwear? I'm actually excited for this product mode because we actually have a new product today.
What? 5 minutes in, we got a sponsor? Oh no. What have you? And yeah, what's the reference to have you soiled yourself, John? Are you projecting again, buddy?
And we're excited about it because, as you know, the Heck Off Commie sponsor roster is an elite list with like 2 criteria. It has to be a good product that I actually like, and I get to say whatever I want. This is why you don't see me promoting things like supplements and weird services, things that don't even have anything to do with what we talk about, and also why sometimes we lose a sponsor when we call out anti-white propaganda and they say, hey, good video, but can you change that comment you made about the future Congressional White Caucus? No, actually, and I didn't even think it was that funny, but at this point, it's on principle that I keep it in. So today, I am here to tell you that men are being inundated with overpriced boxers designed for testosterone-deficient men, one brand even going so far as to turn the waistband into a rainbow, which I remind you at risk of redundancy is literally gay. Here at Heck Off Commie, we demand more room.
Real men wear these boxers. Nowadays, underwear is made for the low-T soy boys. Holy shit! Imagine going shopping for underwear, and you're like, this kind of underwear looks like it's made for a man with a small PP. But everybody knows I am a big PP boy, so I want a big, better alpha underwear. Do people actually buy this?
More room and support where it counts, but that's not all. I want a quick release fly for a quick draw, and this design is actually really good, and I'll try to explain why without being too graphic, but you know how when you really have to pee, it's difficult to take it out because the joint isn't supposed to be like a socket joint. It's not really designed to go like left and right. It's more of an up and down kind of thing. So you have to like bend over and get it out because the fly is vertical. This one's horizontal, so that ceases to be a problem because...
What? Okay, John, again, you're projecting, buddy. I think you're the only one who has a hard time taking their dick out of their underwear. In fairness, it is very challenging to do when you have a really small penis. So maybe that's the problem? I don't... What are you on about? All right, we're skipping... Can we skip the alpha male underwear promo? The desperation, man. What's next? Buy this mug so that you can drink alpha coffee.
In terms of like cumulative service of the country, I would say at this point, somebody who can break into the system and positively change it in any capacity is a hero. It's a completely different battle, but a battle nonetheless, and frankly, one that's more important to the country than fighting in the sand. So if you want to serve your country, you're smart, you're capable, I would say we need people like you involved in politics more than the military.
Oh, God. Hey, here's a helpful hint. Okay, if you're an avid John Doyle viewer wearing the alpha male boxers, how about you don't get involved in politics or join the military? There's a really good idea. You should consider just staying in your basement, eating your Doritos, and masturbating to interracial porn all day. Just stick with that, okay? Please. I don't want people like you anywhere near a firearm or in any position of political power.
At this point, to be honest, and there's pros and cons to each. Like the average soldier is more heroic and more of a service to his country than the average political figure by far. But that being said, we really need that handful of figures to rise up in politics and take this country back and be in charge of that military and use it for good.
Take the country back, my friends, from the degenerate blacks. Like what? Take the country back from what?
For the national defense and sovereignty instead of guarding poppy fields in Afghanistan. And that's the problem. Like if we wanted to take over these countries, we could. If we wanted to glass them, we could, but we don't. We want a nation build because as we talked about in the last video, the ruling class in this country wants international enforced liberalism. So I guess the first thing to know about is what's referred to
international enforced liberalism. So I'm not a big foreign politics guy, but we're headed more towards like globalism, which, sorry, John, you can just cry about that, I guess. But yeah, when we are talking about globalism and uniting among various different nations, this benefits everybody, especially in a capitalist society. Globalism would benefit America's economic system. You realize that, right? Why are you against capitalism here, John? Do I need to tell you? John Doyle? Heck off, commie.
to is the big green weenie, which is that everybody, no matter what, is going to get screwed over by the military in some capacity. It is inescapable. I heard a story about a guy who wanted to be military police. They said, okay, sign here. He says, okay.
Did he just show a picture of a penis? John, are you like drawing pictures of cocks in your free time?
hey, they say, actually, no, you're infantry, but we're keeping you for those extra 3 years you signed on for to be military police, even though you're infantry now. And he's just screwed. So just know that you cannot avoid the big green weenie. It is inevitable. That's just one story I heard, but it can be all sorts of different things. The bottom line.
I like how all he's doing is like telling stories. He's like, I received an email from someone. How do you even know that person was actually in the military? Can I send him an email and be like, hey, I'm in the military, and they literally said that if you have a penis, you are not allowed to serve in the military any longer. The woke is coming for your penis, John. And then would he get up here and tell the story to his audience full of fearful incels? Is it that easy?
Going to get screwed at some point. The second thing to know is that the fact that the wars that we're involved in aren't really important or for good cause or about defending American freedom, that really doesn't even matter, which is actually a good thing, because the reason it doesn't matter is because 90% of the enlisted guys just want to fight. They don't care who, they just want to fight. If the higher-ups declared war on France, they'd be spray painting equipment getting ready for the Battle of Bordeaux, right? That's actually kind of a
Is this not
good thing, because
wait, it's a good thing? Weren't you literally just fear-mongering about the negative feminine energy being ready to fight? Being ready to use their firearms or whatever? You see, guys, it's the negative feminine energy that you need to fear. But when it's men who just want to fight no matter what they're fighting or who, that's a good thing. Okay.
Really just want that warrior spirit in your military, following orders, no questions asked, that kind of mentality. But our problem is that the orders are coming from people who work for Satan, so it gets a bit sticky there. But yeah, these guys have told me that they've never even met one person who gives a damn about nation building.
Okay. So again, I'm going to ask the question. I ask this question almost every time. Why is it that the most insane people always end up being Christians as well? Is that just like a recipe? Do you just like mix a little paranoid schizophrenia with the religious beliefs and the belief that Christ is your savior and the Luciferian regime, and you mix it up and you just spit out people like John Doyle? Why is it that the most insane conservative types always are Christians as well? It's so weird. Okay. Yes, they're controlled by Satan, you see.
So in the enlisted class, about 2/3 of these guys are joining because they love their country, because of their heritage. A lot of these guys come from military families, and that's something that isn't really discussed too often, but there is something to be said about the epigenetics of the soldier, like how even knights were the sons of knights, etc. Like the people who come from military families literally are built different. They want to fight. It is ingrained in them. And the good news is that 80 to 90% of these guys are instinctively or just straight up right wing, like they're fantasizing about being.
So since your dad worked as like a gay prostitute, does that mean it's ingrained in you also, John?
Deployed against Antifa, stuff like that. But that being said, they're not very socially conservative. It's kind of that, like conservatarian warrior class, which is to be expected. I don't have an issue with that. You wouldn't call a Viking a degenerate for getting really drunk and having sex with a bunch of women after conquering a village because he's a Viking and he would collapse your skull. So hey, no judgment from this guy. Judgment-free zone, Planet Fitness mode. Good work, soldier. But the officer culture is much different. These guys are going to college. They're getting indoctrinated. They're not like far left radicals, but they're pretty liberal. Like they'll complain about.
They're going to college being indoctrinated. You remember that really funny stat that shows that as people become more educated, they're also more likely to become more liberal? Maybe it says something about you, John, that your refusal to go to college and then your belief that people that have a higher education are indoctrinated. That might say something about you, my dude. I think we can tell from John's phenotype that he wouldn't get far in college, though. There are too many women there.
But really the best part of the military, I've been told, is the fraternity, the relationships that you form with the other guys, the experiences that you share. It's something you'll never forget and that you'll cherish, even though it sucks for the most part. And that's the operative goal of the regime. They want to discourage people who care about this country from joining or staying in the military. And so they're trying to clamp down on the ability of men to have that fraternal experience. They've brought women in.
What? Yes, that's what the military's all about. It's like going to a frat. John, just go to college. If you want a fraternity, go to a fucking college. What? It's so funny that he showed that clip too. Yeah, when I think of the military,
you form with the other guys.
That's what I think about. Guys having fun with a mattress. I thought he would show this clip as an example that the military's breaking down and now all they care about is fun and games. Dude, this guy is off his fucking rocker. Holy shit.
experiences that you share. It's something you'll never forget and that you'll cherish, even though it sucks for the most part. And that's the operative goal of the regime. They want to discourage people who care about this country from joining or staying in the military. And so they're trying to clamp down on the ability of men to have that fraternal experience. They've brought women in, so it's no longer an all-male sphere, which is really important for facilitating male cooperation in relationships since we get distracted by women. And also, there are just certain things that men did that women did not like, and now they aren't done anymore. One example I heard.
Oh, I don't even know where to start, guys. The regime, the frat boy culture, we can't have women in here because it's distracting to us men. Dude, are you a follower of Christ or a follower of Allah? Because you're making literal Muslim talking points right now, my dude. Let me break this down briefly, okay? Having women in the military is a massive benefit for the military. Diversity in the military is a massive benefit for the military. For people like me who actually give a shit about having a strong military and aren't as concerned about pushing some kind of insane fascistic agenda, I can recognize that having diversity in the military provides more insights. It provides more abilities for people to connect with certain civilians. So, for example, having women in your military can help with women talking to women civilians. Inclusivity within the U.S. military has been a hard-fought but admittedly slow battle. Yet a full and robust U.S. military is one that allows all Americans to serve their country regardless of things such as immigration status, gender identity, religion, and so on. Ensuring an inclusive military also bolsters the United States' global standing. If the military is to meet its geopolitical goals, it needs people with different language skills and cultural competencies. Our nation's strength is in our diversity, and the military must be no exception. In addition, greater diversity among ranks tends to lead to higher innovation and quicker thinking, both important for the military on and off the field. The United States benefits when it can draw a diverse set of talent who want to serve in the military, whether that means accepting an immigrant recruit with the language skills it needs to operate abroad or allowing women soldiers to fully engage in combat. The military is at its best when it recognizes the value and skills of everyone who wishes to serve. Here, when you have women who are part of the military and you have additional diversity becoming part of the military, this bolsters the military's strength. So again, John, I'm sorry that you view the military as like a fun little frat boy where guys can all, circle jerk each other or whatnot. But for those of us who actually give a single shit about the military actually being strong and the military actually meeting its legitimate goals, having diversity there significantly benefits the military. Having women part of the military significantly benefits the strength of the military. Suddenly you have more talent to pull from. Suddenly you have more innovation and you have quicker thinking, which, last I checked, is pretty fucking crucial when it comes to the military. So you can go ahead and be all up here in your fifis and mad that the women are now being part of the supposedly all-male frat. But yeah, you can sit here crying, but again, buddy, I believe in having a strong military so that we can keep America as safe as possible. So again, I don't know why you're trying to weaken the military by discouraging women or diversity being part of the military. So again, John, I will say, heck off, commie.
I heard about was your blood wings. When you would graduate from airborne school in the United States military, they would take the badge and they stick the pin into your skin and they just drive it into your chest. And I've heard that you'll probably have that scar for most of your life, but it's a badge of honor. It's a rite of passage. It is important. But the higher ups don't get it. That's hazing. That's wrong. So they clamp down on it. Women didn't want to do it. Or even popping tops. If your superior is giving you a...
What? You see, now we have a stronger military, and we have much more quick thinking and much more innovation because of diversity and including women, but now that women are a part of this, now we can't drive pins into our chest. So you want to just be like a bunch of cavemen who are like, hoo hoo ha ha, let us carve into your flesh. This is a symbol of honor. Hoo hoo ha ha. And then the women came along and apparently ruined this. You realize you're making men look like absolute degenerates here, right? How is driving a pin into your chest, carving out a symbol in your nipple? How is this somehow a badge of honor? What? And also, furthermore, how is this the fault of women? Do we have any idea that this is actually women's fault? Or are you just making this shit up? If it's anything like the rest of his video, he's probably just making shit up.
a hard time. You say, hey, you want to pop tops? What that means is let's both take off our tops with our ranks on them so we're equal, and then we'll try to beat the hell out of each other. Oh, but they clamp down on things like that. It's hazing. Everything is much more...
Dude, hazing has led to so many issues in the military, including sexual assaults. Like, what? Now men can't beat the fuck out of each other. Wah! It's the women's fault. Dude, yeah, I guess now men can't be as LARPy as fucking possible. And you're just gonna blame women for this. What the fuck? Imagine thinking that's a strong argument.
That warrior culture. So I've been told that you can try to get out of it what you can, but rest assured that it is dying in terms of that experience and fraternity, and that, while it's hard to completely kill it forever, it's definitely dying. So here's basically the problem for me. If the fraternity is dying, you can get it elsewhere. The wars are pointless. Everybody knows they're gay. Everybody knows it's about bolstering these people's political careers. Quick conflict, showing off, taking...
What? All of them cramming into a porta potty? Man, that's the good old military. You remember the good old days? When as many men as possible would cram into one porta potty? That was when we had the macho alpha military.
Everybody knows it's about bolstering these people's political careers. Quick conflict, showing off, taking them out, making them look good, then pulling out. Uh-oh, new group shows up. Let's go get them. Like, even we're leaving Afghanistan now, but then we've got the new OS on the Taliban. Let's go get them. Even though the people we were supporting in Afghanistan were morally reprehensible too. Like, the Taliban at least ended Shy Boys, which was sexual slavery and prostitution between older men and young boys. And
you see, the Taliban was at least kind of good. Yeah, John Doyle argument here. Shitting on the military the entire time and then saying the Taliban actually had some good ideas. And this guy claims to be an American patriot. Like, you sound like you hate America. You actually sound like you're a fear-mongering freak who is terrified of the country in which you live. I mean, in fairness, most of the country is terrified of you, but at least that's for good reason. Okay.
Both in terms of the military and the country as a whole, because they're trying to actively discourage people like us from joining the military or staying in it. Like, they can't outright purge it, just like they can't outright call for violence against us, but they can set things into motion that will achieve the same results. They're doing this with forced shots, forced mask mandates. They're changing names of the bases, erasing Confederate general names. They're breaking that bond. First, it's this.
What? Vaccine required for troops? All troops are required to have their vaccines, John. Turns out you're not going to be as effective of a fighter if you're sick from the coronavirus. This is not a new thing. This has been required for so long. Why are you just fear-mongering about something that's been part of the military since, like, the beginning? If anything, requiring vaccines for the troops is more like the good old days of the military.
Forced mask mandates. They're changing names of the bases, erasing Confederate general names. They're breaking that.
They're changing base names, guys. Oh, no. They're erasing Confederate names. You literally are talking about how you're scared that the military is going to rise up against American patriots and against the country. And now you're advocating to keep Confederate names for bases? You know, the Confederates, the people that rose up against American patriots and tried to overthrow the country in which they inhabit? What? I can't fathom this. This guy is so fucking stupid. Oh my God.
Renaming all the bases. They're having meetings 2 to 3 times a year going over what extremism is, how to find it in others, what organizations they can't be a part of, what's indicative of an extremist. But what they consider to be an extremist are purely right-wing people, never leftists. Only examples are young...
Self-own right there, dude. That was a self-own. Holy shit. Why is it that all the extremist groups are always right-wing?
Only examples are young white dudes who are about this age. And at one point during one of the meetings I heard, there was this...
Yes, it turns out that, well, it's not actually just young white dudes, but you realize that young men are more likely to be radicalized, right? They're also more likely to be part of extremism if they are fed fear-mongering bullshit, like from people like you, John. But I mean, I can tell from his phenotype that his IQ is really low, so, no worries.
And it's a total psyop. They want people like us to be out of the military. You don't belong here. That's the purpose of all of this. They want people like us to leave, to be demoralized. We own you. You're going to do our bidding. That's the point. You're going to get the shot. And even then, you're going to have to wear the cope shield. And if you don't, Article 50...
Wait. If you sign up for the military, you have to abide by the military's rules. I guess he doesn't understand the concept of rules. But yeah, I'll break this down for you, Doyle. Okay, maybe this will help. If you sign up for something... like the military, you usually, by signing up, agree to the standards and rules that are part of that organization. That's a good rule for you to learn. What's another one? Oh, right. Rape is bad, and women aren't scary. There's another one for you.
15s, even though you said you wouldn't have to wear the cope shield if you got the shot. And if it's mandatory, they could potentially put you in military prison. Most realistically, they'd kick you out, and other than honorable discharge, so no veterans benefits, you have to report on all employment that you have that, so it kind of screws you for the rest of your life, so...
It's almost like you should just get the fucking shot. Weird. Like, you think you're some noble freedom fighter by becoming a plague rat and then possibly compromising the military's ability to do its job as efficiently as possible. But yeah, you're the American patriot. Cope.
Ultimately, with this whole thing, I think you really just have to evaluate it for yourself, because the bad parts of it are that it encourages an unhealthy lifestyle, you're supporting and defending a country that murders 1 million of its children every year, and you're existing as the militant arms of a globalist pedophile network who wishes to enslave our nation's people. And
Okay, so I think you just went mask off right there. The global pedophile ring that wants to enslave their people. I can't quite put my finger on it. Isn't that a reference to a really common right-wing extremist conspiracy theory? John, why are you saying that it's always people like you guys who are considered extremists, and now you're dog whistling about the JQ? Are you okay right now? Do you realize the self-own here? Or are you just like saying things? Do you think he writes a script? Or do you think he just sits in front of his microphone and rambles for 20 minutes, hoping that it'll sound good?
what is good about the military is culture. That seems to be dying. So I don't know. The National Guard, I know they get a hard time, but it might not be a bad idea. Like right-wing states pulled theirs from Biden, and if they can establish a purely leftist national military, if we had right-wing militaries in state governments, that might help us, especially with like a national divorce, which is really the best option at this point. And even though the National Guard doesn't get the training that the rest do, I'm pretty confident that right-wing patriots would be more lethal with that training than a bunch of leftists and third world imports would be with better training. But I don't know. Don't take this.
Third world imports. Wow. Yeah, I guess an immigrant, guys. If you're from another country, not America, then you aren't able to handle a firearm as well, apparently. I don't know. Can you tell from their phenotype, John? Is that it?
That's why you have generals now talking about how diversity is our greatest strength. So everything flows top down. We have to change our political representation.
Diversity is literally a strength of the military, as demonstrated by statistics, and is by demonstrated by what I said a minute ago about how by having women and other people, other diverse groups in the military, you literally benefit the military's innovation and you benefit the military's quick thinking. All things that are necessary to have a strong military. He would rather compromise the military's ability to fight more efficiently and protect our nation more efficiently because of his deep-seated hatred for minorities. Just let that sink in.
First, and they would fix the military leadership. And that honestly would fix the military to where we wouldn't even have to worry about this anymore. Like if the top down guys in the military were our guys, the whole institution would change almost overnight, I've been told. So I guess those are my thoughts on it. They're trying to
Who told you that, John? Did anybody actually tell you that, or was that the voice in your head?
destroy the culture. The White House and DOD say that you can't report someone of the same gender for sexual assault or harassment anymore because they said it would be used to bully gay people. They shut down open...
What? You can't report sexual harassment because it would be scary to gay people? Okay, thankfully I actually looked into this. There's all kinds of ways that you can report sexual assault in the military. What are you talking about right now? With the support of President Joe Biden, Congress members, military leaders, and activists alike are advocating for sexual assault cases to be handled by an independent body. This is the opposite of what you just said, John. Pentagon unveils new sexual assault response plan. What does this have to do with gay people? Nothing. He's literally just making shit up. And here's another thing that's really funny, okay? A minute ago, he was saying, now because of the women, hazing is gone. Male hazing, most common type of sexual assault. You're saying, we need to bring hazing back to show how tough the military is. This is partially contributing to the sexual assault of men. That's the first one. Second of all, you're saying, oh, well, the military's just not strong anymore because they let the women do stuff. You realize that part of this, part of the underreported sexual assaults from men, is because our culture is focused on the idea that men are supposed to be strong. There's a lot of concern for men about what sexual assault means to them. Does being assaulted mean I'm weak? That's especially relevant for people who spent most of their adult lives trying to be strong, putting on a uniform, and being a warrior. So literally the type of culture in the military that John Doyle was LARPing for the entire 20 minutes of this brain-dead video is contributing to the sexual assault that he's now trying to complain about in a twisted, demented, unbased way to shit on gay people. This dude is a cartoon character. I'm watching Looney Tunes right now, okay? And John Doyle is the main character. Man, it would be easy to be a right-winger. You just gotta make shit up.
In prayer, they call it proselytizing. They want your social media. They want your...
They let you pray still. That's just a bull-faced lie. I looked into that one already. That's a lie. But nice try, buddy.
Emails. They're citing the NDA in battalion meetings, claiming that you can arrest someone for speaking out against the federal government. All of this, in addition to...
Really? Okay. NDA meetings, military. Why am I never able to find anything that he's saying? I literally think he's like having a fever dream and then putting it into a video. I think that's what's happening here. Okay, yeah, I mean, you can... I hope that it gets you off at night, buddy.
We deserve it. This country deserves it. But the good news is that we're ultimately going to win. And our enemies who literally work for Satan and for Moloch, who are literally possessed by demons, are going to end up burning in hellfire for eternity. So...
Oh, yes. The enemies, you see, women are possessed by the demons. The gays are all possessed. Does he think black people are possessed by demons too? Probably he does. Like, there's no way to argue with people like this. You just have to laugh at them and spit at them as they walk by you on the street. That's it. That's the only answer here.
That's kind of funny. I don't want to say I take pleasure in that. It's at least amusing. It sounds outlandish too, but that's the case, by the way. Like, if you're a Christian and you read your Bible, that is what it says very clearly is the case. So in summary, study your Bible.
No, it actually doesn't. There's a lot of contention over whether or not the Bible's talking about a literal pit of fire where you'll burn for all of eternity. But of course, stupid dipshits like you would take anything that an ancient book of fables says as literal fact.
Your rifle by your side, and as long as you do that, you will be okay, regardless of anything that happens in between. Like, in the end, you will be okay, and we'll all make it. Hey guys, if you like this video...
Oh my god. That was literally like watching somebody have a mental breakdown from reality for 20 minutes. I almost feel bad for reviewing this and making fun of it because I feel like I'm being ableist. I feel like I say this to Christians a lot, but it might be time to take a break from talking to God and start talking to a therapist. You can talk to a Christian therapist if that would help. You know, not a therapist that's been polluted by Satan and science and whatnot. Like, just do something, dude. Please. Is that why he hasn't posted a video for a while, maybe? Oh, interesting. The last video he posted was on how MLK was not a hero. Dude, this guy is not even trying anymore. Well, there you guys have it, okay? Don't join the military because now you can no longer carve a literal scar into your chest because women bad. Wow, that was a very interesting video. Thank you, John Doyle. Just kidding. I don't thank you. I literally, I'll be honest, if there is a hell, it's going to be people like this fuckwit that go there, okay? People that lead thousands astray and fearmonger over and over when it comes to accepting marginalized groups, which even Jesus Christ advocated for. But, you know, I don't subscribe to that bullshit. I'm not a God simp, so I don't need to worry about what that old ancient book says. John, keep filling your head with fairy tales, and we'll keep making fun of you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified when I drop a new video.